Previously on Work to Game.
Please don't be news.
Oh, oh,
Oh, come
oh. The wheel wants us to talk about the news. Guys, if you want us to cover some news, let us know in the comments below. What are we talking about?
PvP.
Oh, somebody
Uh,
literally just in on the last video was like, please have PvP on
what would
that
fix
board.
PvP in 14? And do we even need PvP in 14?
All right, everyone, welcome to the PvP conversation. The wheel has dictated it. Guys, if you want to see news, thoughts, anything, any topic on the wheel, be sure to leave it in the comments below so we can get it added. Somebody literally was like, PvP better be on this wheel. And it was already. Like, that was there for you. So hopefully you enjoy our PvP conversation. What would it do to fix it? Does it even need to exist? That's what we're talking about. Chris, when was the last time you queued up for PvP?
I do PvP probably 3 to 4 times per expansion, and by times I mean like there's like a 1 to 3 week period where I'm doing it as some portion of my content. And it's usually centered on a new PvP being added, a new season being started, a new mount being added, a title or mount being removed, or the community is doing it as a group. And usually more than one of those things is true. Usually it's they're removing something, a new season is starting, the community wants to do it. All right, fine. Let's go do this. And I really like how many people are in PvP in this game. I really like how many modes there are. It just takes too long to find a match.
Yeah. When I was thinking for myself, I played a little bit of the Nadim. I thought that was cool. And like you, like the last big push for PvP was making sure I got all my PvP mounts for the event that wrapped up. Like I'd say recently, but it's probably I think been 6 months to a who knows, a year now. Time in 2020 is weird. So I want to do PvP in this game. But this game has continued to push me into other games that I have a great PvP experience.
Right.
I've often said, weirdly enough, that I play 14 for PvE and I play Destiny 2 for PvP. Two different games, but just the simple fact that I can get into a match is almost the breaker here. And so obviously this conversation's around what would we do to fix it, or should it even exist whatsoever? And I'm in the camp that it definitely needs to exist. And I've got a lot of strong thoughts on this. You're welcome to disagree with me. Let me know. Because like I know when I bring up my ideas, I never want to bring them up to to punish it. We don't have to agree. And I'm not going to sit here and
We're not the devs.
Right.
So
I'm
don't
not
fear that we're driving this ship. We're just on it with everybody else.
First things first, I'm going to do my idea, and I'll toss it back to you because I have kind of 3 big points. First things first, I want some just connection for PvP across all the modes. I want my career, I want my stats. I'm a baseball nerd. I love the fact that when I look at baseball players, we know it was raining on a Sunday and he was a left-hander versus a right-hander. We break this stuff down to an insane amount. And not that we have to have that direct level, but I think one of the things when I look at the feast and the season, why aren't there seasons that are a part of Frontlines? Why aren't there seasons that are a part of these other things? Just as a measure of enjoyment. Why can't I see my career stats overall with PvP? And I'm sure they're not flattering. I'm sure I've lost when I looked at Frontlines, it usually is I have a 34, it feels kind of balanced. I have a 34% win rate within that content, and then second, everything kind of feels equally balanced in terms of winning versus losing. But it would be so cool to see how much damage I've done, how much healing I've done, how much etc. that I've done. And then I think again, when I say I wish it was, the word is holistic. I wish there was a holistic PvP feel that connected all of it, whether I was doing Feast, Frontlines, or I can't Rival Wings. Like we have 3 different modes, and that's also splitting up a smaller community. Chris, I've apparently amused you.
Nope, keep going. I want to see how far this goes. Keep digging. What's number 2?
Number 2, okay. So we talked about the kind of that aspect. I would love to see a Guild Wars 2-esque mode that is essentially kind of like a skirmish between different servers. And you go into that mode and you could PvE and PvP. Not like an open world, like when it was actually asked, this question was asked to Yoshi P at FanFest, and he interpreted it that like free-for-all open world PvP. I think that scares the living crap out of the majority of gamers. I think there's this very small sect of people who are like, yes, I just want to go run around, because they think that they're going to run around and just destroy people. And yeah, oh, you're crafting? Ah, sucker, should not have flagged for that. But I don't think that's what people want. I would love to see that brought into its own kind of content in which that we're all vying for control. I think I really have enjoyed that concept within Guild Wars 2, fighting for control over zones, both in PvE and PvP kind of content. And I've longed. I was like, man, what would 14 do with that style of content in this game? And that's essentially where I'd love to see it. And the third thing is, PvP feels so forced into its own little back alley that to the thing, like, could they delete it? I think they could, and then it would not even make news. Like, IGN would not even post about it. Kotaku would, it'd be like, what, if it had PvP? Because it's like, go to the docks, you can duel out in this one spot. I think it'd be cool if as a player, we could, create our own. We have 3 different modes. Like, why not take advantage of the open world and say, hey guys, we're going to do some PvP. Here's the game type, and we're going to be in this zone. And it just, you can open world, but it's everybody kind of opts in and agrees to it. I think when you look at the beauty of the world itself, that's kind of where it goes. And the other connection to it, I think the biggest weakness is that the game forces rolls on you. And that's why things take so long to queue, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just tell me, do you need a healer? Do you need a tank? I'll queue for whatever. I just want a PvP. And it's 30 minutes. Oh God, well, I guess I can go play. So I can get 3 rounds in Destiny while I wait for a queue to pop in. Maybe that's what I need to do. I just need to be I need a multi-box, multiple games. Here I am in queue. Here I am playing another game. Thanks for coming by the stream, everybody. Chris, that's my monologue. I was hoping to be more back and forth, but I have amused you greatly.
So the Guild Wars PvP thing is pretty unique to Guild Wars. Other games might emulate aspects of it, but Guild Wars has kind of, at least as far as games I know of, has really fermented that down to its core concepts, a little purer than anybody else. So I would say that everything you're describing, assuming that you like tab target PvP, because tab target is very different than Destiny, Halo, racing games, where there's a mechanical skill that you can miss. It's not an order of operations where movement is the most mechanical skill, and when you cast an ability, it will hit its target. That's beyond your control. You press the ability, you're done. In Destiny, you can have the best gun in the game, and if you can't hit the broadside of a barn, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So there's a mechanical
there's a 0 skill floor,
very different in a shooter where everybody could be given the same gun. Think about Halo. Everybody's given the same starting weapons. All the other weapons are there for grabs, and yet there are very different skill levels. When you talk about watching the world finals of Final Fantasy or World of Warcraft or something that's more tab target based, it's a lot more like watching almost professional chess matches take place. It's somewhere, I would say, RTS championships are halfway in between, and there's this intensity there that it feels more, I guess, intellectual and less mechanical in nature.
Okay.
So everything you're describing, assume that you like being in the tab target camp. What I'm understanding that you want, then we can get to what I want. What I'm understanding you want is a PvP season that's all engrossing, maybe has its own kind of loot system, loot progression, kind of a paragon score that you're building towards. and that spans across all PvP modes.
Mm-hmm.
That there's a variety of modes available. It's encouraging players into each one, and that there is a world PvP that also somewhat touches in with this system. Some of your PvP skills can be activated in the zone if this zone is in PvP mode, right? So we're all in the Ruby Sea, we're all duking it out. Everybody's got their PvP skills active.
Yeah.
We're going to do a task, and then this event's going to end.
Just a caveat on that, it's not that the game decides the zone. It's that you and I were like, hey, let's get together and
opt in.
Not just opt in, but it's basically like a custom game. Because like they did add custom feast matches, but it's like, well, let's put a custom game, and this is the zone we're gonna do. Just giving us that flexibility, as opposed to that's the difference. Is not that this zone is now open, and then anybody else is like, I'm just wandering in, and all of a sudden like, this zone's flagged for PvP. What? No. It's like, hey guys, we're gonna do custom games, and we're gonna play out in Norvant. Okay, great. As long as you got access to the zone, let's go out there, and we can kind of define the rules instead of having it take place in an instance where it's invisible. That's kind of the thing. It's like, it would be cool to be like, hey, we're going to do this. And all of a sudden everybody in the zone can kind of come watch and spectate, like, whoa, just like we're doing with 535 in the Bojan Southern Front, where at some point, like, people are going to be outside the content going, go man, go, or you suck. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know of any game that has that system. And then the last final point that you wanted was you wanted it to help adjust better for the roles. So either tell me what you need, or run it with less of the roles. Like we've run PvP in our community with no healers.
And that's amazing.
So if there are no healers, just run it no healers. The point is that it's the same role distribution on both teams. We don't care what those roles are. And then if we need more of a role to make that happen, we're going to tell people, because we're never going to run a match without X or whatever. We're never going to run a match of all tanks because it'll never end.
It won't.
Fine. Then tell people to play
we tried it,
DPS. Okay, so the first thing is that Guild Wars has to be in your rotation of games to play across 2020, kind of just as somebody speaking to like the list you want. Now, as for the customs, that's a fairly unique response. Other than that, I'm really excited because you are coming into World of Warcraft at the end of October with an accelerated leveling pace is now in the game. And so it has a lot of what you're describing. It has PvP seasons, you have PvP actions. When you're out in the world, there's these world event type things, and you opt into what's called War Mode. And when you queue for PvP matches across the various modes, it actually does just assign the same healers as the breaking thing, because everybody else kind of functions as DPS.
Yeah.
And it actually assigns the number of healers to each team. And I've been in matches where it's just me against another healer, because I queue as a healer. I've been in matches where there's a couple of us. It just varies on how many of us are available, and the matches go very differently, but both teams always in theory have the same amount, and you can't change off of that. You can't change out of that role, just like we lock that in within Feast. I don't think you can change. It's like, no, once the match starts, here's where you're at. You can't adjust, because that's not fair. So I think I'm excited to see if you get a chance to try World of Warcraft PvP. Because it may fix a lot of it. I think for my issues within 14, I think they've come up with some really unique modes, and I like those, and I wish they had the engagement that the WoW community has.
Yeah.
And that the Guild Wars community has, just speaking of those two. And it's kind of a chicken before an egg, because it doesn't have engagement. The queue times are long. Because the queue times are long, it doesn't have the engagement. And it just goes back and forth and back and forth. People say it's rewards. I don't think it is. I think PvP is a system that can be intrinsically fun. I don't think it needs extrinsic rewards, because extrinsic rewards leads to resentment. We see that with relic grinds every single expansion, where people are doing it, and that the number of people doing it is greater than the number of people who enjoy it. There are people in that number that are just doing it to get their relic. And in PvP specifically, you don't want teammates that don't want to be there.
Right.
Because people who, when the doorbell rings, they don't say 1 second, they just get up mid-encounter. They're like mid-cast and they just bail, and they don't care, and that's not fun. It's not fun for either team. Like, I don't like being in a Halo game where the other team has 3 people leave at the beginning, because then it's just 12 minutes of us chasing down 2 people. It's not fun. Yeah, you're gonna win, but okay.
It's like, all right, yeah.
So I don't want it to be about the rewards. I want it to be fun for the sake of fun. So I wonder if the solution isn't to make it more limited time, isn't to make it more of a cross event, to funnel us into a narrower band so that the number of people interested are overlapping on Square's terms. If the PvP season had an off time and it's like the PvP season's back, this month we have PvP, next month we don't have PvP, I need to get some PvP in before it goes away. I really enjoy it. I wonder if it makes sense to funnel it, because if you think about like Yokai Watch or whatever, all these people go do this. But if Yokai Watch was always there, you would never see anybody else doing Yokai Watch, because even if they were doing it, they'd be spread across the whole year. Or in this case, I think it's been like 4 years. It's possible you'd never notice. I think that's the solution that I would want. I do think it should be in game. I just think it should be more limited time.
So would you actually advocate for, like, let's say if it ran from Friday to Tuesday, that it's like, hey guys, it's you have like PvP is on now during these things, and then everything else during the week would be just more socially based, because there is a social mode, and you could always and you could always do custom.
You could always custom.
Yeah,
I think you either set it in seasons where it's going to be available 24/7 for a certain number of weeks, and then it's going to go into an off season, or you set it to certain days of the week. And in either case, you're going to have people who can only play in the off times, and they're going to get screwed. That's just the nature of this. If you want to know our thoughts on balance versus catering to each individual person, check out our previous video. So I think the other way to do it is to treat it like fishing raids, where there's a time you need to be in the wolves den at this time, and then there's going to be an amount of downtime, or like the Ishgardian fates, where it's building towards a PvP, and groups of people can go, hey, we're going to be on from 6 to 8. It looks like the PvP on our server is going to be at 7, so you guys want to maybe go knock out Silk dailies and do some custom duels, and then we'll all do the PvP, and then we can go run raids. It would I think it would funnel people there, and so you would have, part of it is you don't feel like you're part of a community. Like when you do when you're doing the fishing raid that first week or whatever, like that area literally couldn't even load the number of people that were there.
Yeah.
And that makes it feel very alive, which then even if you're like, I think I'm done for the day, you're like, everybody else is here. I think I'm going to do one more. Like it makes something a little bit more fun than it probably would be on your own, which is the beauty of an MMO. Yeah. That people are adding fun that otherwise didn't exist into your life.
Man. I'm interested in checking out World of Warcraft once, because it's like I've got the game installed, and I'm basically going to contact support because I got gifted a code, but it looks like maybe that was an EU code. So I'll either be purchasing it myself or just subscribing. You said the pre-patch for controller support comes, I think, next week. So
in theory, we don't have a confirmed date. It could be next week.
Who knows? So I'm interested in checking that out, because at least it will give me some interesting insights into that. I hope that Final Fantasy and Yoshi P as a whole invest more in it. I think one of the things especially let's say, remember when that big gap we had between 5.2 and 5.3, it's like PvP is content that helps bridge the gap in PvP and curated content, because it's always changing. And I like that. I think that's a healthy thing for games. I know there's definitely a never PvP mindset, and I don't want anybody forced to feel like they have to do PvP. Destiny overall has gotten much better with its quest, saying, hey, you got this, like, to get this gun, you can go do Crucible, or you can go do Gambit, or you can go run strikes. Like, it's like, let's let the player choose how they want to engage with the reward, so they can actually gravitate towards the reward that they like. But at the same time, I think PvP in and of itself is rewarding. It's fun and it's engaging, and I wish that we had more of it. And like, again, I think the number one thing is that the holistic view of it, that it's connected, that it's not so separate from who we are as a character. The fact that I can even see you see your stats at the end of a match, and then you leave and then they're gone. And it's like, I would love to see if I'm improving, if I'm especially when we talk about DPS meters, and our avocation for their need, but not like 100% like what people think. Like, I don't, give me stats. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me compare myself to myself. I don't really I don't care about comparing myself to others. I want to know how I am doing, and that's where I actually, like, PvP could easily be that. Like, okay, cool. Like, you want meters, you want this, you want that, like, great. I think that's exciting and interesting content. And then at the same time, like, if I was going to do a Hail Mary, I would say healers in PvP don't act as healers, like in 14. Like, I can see how, like, WoW does it with making sure everybody has the same amount. but when we run content without healers, like give everybody a self-heal, so it's a kind of a strategic kind of mindset, maybe even a little bit of an automatic, regen, so that you're like, okay, like it's strategic, and then healers act as DPS. Like, okay, and maybe there's just, because that roll thing makes the queue times longer. Because I could guarantee you, like, if you remove the roll requirement and you just kind of like, in a way, I'm advocating for homogenization. If you make everybody just a DPS and their skills are different, then you get faster matches. And I think if you start building up faster matches, then people can start to look at what actually needs to be adjusted with the different jobs. Because it's like,
so we've probably pissed off one group of people, so let's just swing for the fences and see if we can grab everybody else.
Let's get them all.
So we're gonna rebuild this thing from the ground up. What if it is on this kind of like fishing timer where it comes up every certain number of hours?
Okay.
Right. And then when it's coming up after that many hours, what if it has like requirements? Like we're like 4 hours from now, there's going to be PvP, but this PvP is black mages only.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
And you just, if you don't have a black mage to level 30, you just can't do it.
Right.
It's level 30, guys. It's not, we're not asking you to get all the jobs all the way, but it's black mages only, or it's casters only.
Yeah.
And it's just casters. It's
chaos.
just red mages and black mages and summoners just going nuts.
I love it. I love that idea.
And then it's tanks only. And then because tanks don't kill each other, double DPS is on all the time. Mm-hmm. Double DPS. And if you pick up a buff or something in there, that's on top of that. It's multiplicative. So you've got people running around doing fell cleaves for like 9 bajillion damage. Just, like full rotation, whatever. Like just like, what if it's a much more of a spectacle? And I know that for people that like PvP to be this balanced season and they like ranking at the top, that kind of takes that away. And I know for people that don't like PvP, but maybe want to just dabble in it, they're like, but I don't have all my jobs leveled, which I don't. I don't know. Like, see if we can get everybody to say that they hate at least one of our ideas down in the comments below.
Yeah, let us know which idea you hate the most.
So I don't know, like just take it further. Just take it to an extreme of itself. Like it's meant to be all of the things PvE cannot.
Right.
It's simple rotations. It starts at job 30. Everybody's scaled. It doesn't matter who wins. Like it's meant to be this content that can do its own thing. Mm-hmm. So I would just lean into that harder. Now, this is coming from somebody who thinks that ultimates need to be in the game, even though I don't clear them, and somebody who thinks blue mage is a good thing. So like take my view with whatever that set of statements means to you. If those mean that I should be dismissed altogether, then ignore this. But like, what if PvP was much more of that, just a complete spectacle, like a thing that it's like, yeah, it's coming up, I want to go do it. They have cool mounts behind it. It's only up every certain number of hours, and it's always ridiculous.
I love it. I love it. All right, Chris, I think that's a perfect way to summarize, and we'll find out who hates what idea the most. Or if there's anything that you like that we said, surprise me and let me know what that is in the comments. Chris, it's time to spin the wheel, find out what we're talking about on Tuesday.
Probably news.
Probably news. The wheel has been wanting us to talk about the wheel.
We're going to do a bigger spin.
Oh, please be news.
Oh, it's almost news. Deep Dungeon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, talking about dead features. Do we kill off features? Do we support features forever? What happens because we did not get a deep dungeon this expansion, and I know some people were missing one. Some people feel good riddance because we're getting other things instead. So this is specifically talking about deep dungeon. Do you miss it? Do you miss features? Do you think we should remove things? Like if PvP is underutilized, should it just be removed?
All right, guys, tune in on Tuesday for that hot topic, and always let us know what you're thinking. And especially if you want topics on the board, sound off in the comments below, and we'll get them added for you guys. So for Work to Game, my name's Brian.
My name's Chris.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope to see you in our next video. But until then,
Take care.
I was actually gonna. Whatever. Everybody just take it. Let's go get some mimosas. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. This video is sponsored by me, Ginger Prime. Hopefully, you'll check out my podcast channel, Ginger Gaming Radio, which we have lots of guests, lots of great conversations, and even more highlights. Links are in the description below. Let me know what you think. Thanks.